2022 just started, but February is almost upon us. So let's talk what I plan to read in February 2022. Hi guys, welcome back, bienvenue and all that jazz. Today I'm going to be talking about the 5 priority reads I have for February of 2022. I recently posted my most anticipated reads for 2022 video, and I did manage to snag some arcs of some of those, so if I can sneak those in, I will. So let's jump right in to what I plan to read in February. The first thing I'd like to get to is The Justice of Kings by Mr. Richard Swan. I don't know if this is a debut novel or anything like that. I did get an e-arc on NetGalley from, I believe it's Orbit who publishes this. And I am so excited to get to this. So basically, this sounds kind of like a politically driven novel where in this book you have these justices, or specifically one who's the Emperor's Justice, who's kind of this combination. He does detective stuff to determine crimes and what happened. He's also the judge and the executioner all in one person. So that already seems like a very concentration of power in one person. And so just briefly from the synopsis, the Emperor's Justice, Sir Conrad Vonval, always has the last word. His duty is to uphold the law of the Empire using whatever tools he has at his disposal, whether it's his blade, the arcane secrets passed down from justice to justice, or his wealth of knowledge of the laws of the Empire. But usually his reputation as one of the most revered and hated justices is enough to get most any job done. He investigates the murder of a noblewoman, and he finds his authority being challenged, and he starts to figure out that this is much more complex and a convoluted, something is happening behind the scenes, and it starts to spin into lawless chaos around the Empire, potentially leading to the end of all justices. So it sounds like there's going to be some good action, but it sounds like at its core, it's kind of almost this murder mystery, very almost like Era 2 Mistborn, where we start on this journey of trying to discover what's going on and what happened to this person who was murdered, and then we quickly uncover machinations and plots within plots within plots. And it sounds like a great time. It comes out, I want to say February 21st or 22nd. So I will definitely get this read and have a review up on my channel so that you can decide if it's something that is interesting to you before you buy it. The second book that I'm really excited to get to, I am joining along with the read-along from the Library of Alexandria over on his Discord server. There is a read-along for The Chronicle of the Unhewn Throne, Book 1, The Emperor's Blades by Mr. Brian Staveley. I have heard that this book has lots of magic and really good world building, and that this Chronicle of the Unhewn Throne is a very underrated, underhyped fantasy series. And so, like always, whenever somebody tells me that kind of stuff, it gets kind of my little curiosity piqued. I'm like, okay, why it's so underrated though? Like, what make it so good? So I'm excited. I haven't really done any buddy reads or read-alongs or anything like that in the past. And so I'm just looking forward to a really good time to hop into that Discord and chat with people as we all read through the Emperor's Blades. It basically sounds like we have this emperor and he dies, and we have his 3 children, one who has been studying in a monastery, one who has been back in the Empire, and I don't totally remember where the third one is, but basically it sounds like the emperor has been murdered, so this empire is dissolving into turmoil and chaos, and so his children need to get through their grief at the loss of their father and start trying to figure out what happened and re-secure the empire. I don't really know much more than that. It sounds like, from everything that I've heard, it's a very hyped book, but basically it's a little bit of the blurb says that court politics can be fatal, but they need justice. And then Caden, the heir to an empire, studies in a remote monastery where the blank god's disciples teach their harsh ways, which Caden must master to unlock their ancient powers. When an imperial delegation arrives, he's learned enough to perceive evil intent, but will this keep him alive as long-hidden powers make their move? So it sounds like the assassins in the shadows are hunting his kids too, And so we're trying to stay alive and survive and figure out what happened to Daddy Pooh and why he was murdered. So if you're interested, you should definitely go check out the Library of Alexandria, hop onto his Discord. I'll leave a link to his channel down below if you want to try to find out more information about that and join along with us, but that's the next book I'm interested in reading. Then up next, I have been chatting on Instagram with Miss Jashana, and she is wonderful, and she has been hyping for a while a series by Mr. Michael J. Sullivan, the Legends of the First Empire series. So typically when we hear about Michael J. Sullivan, we hear about the Ryuria Revelations series with the like buddy cop duo or whatever, but the Legends of the First Empire takes place chronologically before that, and I think it's a much more epic in scope kind of fantasy story, so I am taking her on her word that it's going to be great, and so I will be getting to this book in February. And so this first book, Age of Myth. Since time immemorial, humans have worshipped the gods they call Frey, truly a race apart, invincible in battle, masters of magic, and seemingly immortal. But when a god falls to a human blade, the balance of power between humans and those they thought were gods changes forever. Now only a few stand between humankind and annihilation. Wraith, reluctant to embrace his destiny as the god killer, Suri, a young seer burdened by signs of impending doom, and Persephone, who must overcome personal tragedy to lead her people. The age of myth is over. The time of rebellion has begun. So, as I'm sure you guys have heard me say before, I love books like these Forgotten Realms books, where the gods are not just like these religious figures that you just kind of talk about, and we're talking about religious orders and stuff like that, but in these kinds of books, the gods are actually directly involved in events. The gods can be killed and overthrown and all of that kind of stuff. So when I'm reading a description like this, that's what really stands out to me. I always love being able to see more about deities and stuff like that, and where they're actually concrete, tangible, involved beings instead of just like religious theology. And so I am really excited to check out this book. I hope I love it as much as Miss Jashana, and that I can talk to her more about it as I go through this series. Then the last book that's firmly on the TBR for February that I really want to get to is I really want to start my journey through the Farseer trilogy. So I'm hoping to get to book 1, Assassin's Apprentice by Miss Robin Hobb. This is book 1 in the Farseer trilogy, also book 1 of her overarching Realm of the Elderlings series. And so in this, we get introduced to our boy Fitz Chivalry Farseer, who is the bastard son of the king or something like that. And so the king abdicates his throne due to the scandal of having a bastard, and Mr. Fitz ends up being trained as an assassin. That's basically all I know. I know that Miss Robin Hobb is a master of prose. I also know that she is a master of being a mean person to Mr. Fitz, and that he goes through hell, and that his emotional journey and everything like that is one of the best in fantasy. And so I'm ready to finally embark on the Realm of the Elderlings journey. So I will be picking up Assassin's Apprentice in February. Then my audiobook for the month of February, which I have already started in January, not gonna lie, is Dune by Frank Herbert. Book number 1 in the Dune series. I don't know, however you want to refer to it. I'm reading Dune. And so far, I have been blown away. I just started reading audiobooks for the first time with, I think it was book 9 or 10 of The Wheel of Time. So with Kate Redding and Michael Kramer, and they are amazing. But this is the first time I've ever listened to a full cast audiobook, and it is pure magic. All of the different voice actors bring this book to life, and the sound effects and all of that. It is truly a special experience. I don't usually love science fiction, but I'm getting the impression that Dune is much more science fantasy. So in this world, we have basically different houses, almost like a la Game of Thrones almost. And these different houses control different planets or different parts of the economy and stuff like that. And so we have this group of people called the Harkonnen that control this planet Arrakis, also known as Dune, where they generate this substance called the spice melange that basically is worth so much to everyone because it helps deep space pilots stay awake while they're doing their stuff and all of that kind of thing. So it is like really the backbone of the economy almost of this like galactic empire. And they're basically being kicked out by the Emperor, and the Atreides families is being put in place to control this planet of Arrakis. And I don't know much more than that. It basically sounds like this is a way that the Emperor is trying to remove the Atreides family because the Harkonnens are not going to take it lying down that their planet and their source of income is being taken away from them. I have seen the movie, or at least the new one, the Denis Villeneuve movie, so I know part of, I'm assuming, where this plot goes, but I don't really know if like the book, how faithful of an adaptation the movie was of this novel. But I think that the movie only covers like the first half of this novel, and there's like this time jump maybe somewhere partway through the novel that we go to some other events that we have not seen in the films yet. So I am just really loving my time with this. I am new to science fiction, like I said, and this is so far like such a magical place to start. I am loving every minute of it. If you have more sci-fi recs kind of in the science fantasy lane like Dune, hop down in the comments and give me those recommendations, because I did not realize how enthralled I would be by something like this. And so those are the 5 priority reads of the month. If I have time and I can get to it towards the end of the month, I really want to pick up Dreams of the Dying by Nicolas Lietzau. And this is an interesting one. It's book 1 in the Enderal series, trilogy, what have you. But from what I understand, it actually started as a mod for the game Skyrim, that they started getting so in-depth in their mod, it was basically released as like its own game. And then the story was so riveting and good that the author actually expanded on it and started releasing it as these novels. And your story must be so good to be able to translate from video game to book format, and for people to shout about it from the rooftops, and for it to have a 4.39 overall rating from almost 1,000 ratings on Goodreads. Like, good for you, Mr. Lietzau. I don't know much about what this book is about. It sounds like maybe there's some kind of dream magic and we can go through dreams. It says that in this archipelago, it's plagued by explosive social tensions and terrorism, and this tropical empire is edging ever closer to civil war. The Merchant King is the only person able to prevent this catastrophe, but he has fallen into a preternatural coma, and our main character, Jesper, is trying to figure out what or who is causing this coma. And as he investigates, it takes him across this archipelago, through the king's nightmares, and he starts to figure out all of these unexpected details that tie to his own life and the mystery at hand, but also inner demons that he thought that he had conquered. It sounds like we're going to have some interesting mental health representation, some looking at personal trauma, and it sounds like it's going to be almost maybe fantasy horror. Like, if you look at this cover, this doesn't look like pure fantasy. This looks like there's going to be some major creep factor. And I'm here for it. Like, let's go, Mr. Fantasy Horror. And so that's all I have for you guys today. Those are the 5 priority reads and 1 book I'd like to get to if I have time at the end of the month. What are you guys planning to read for February? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to chat about it. Have you read any of these? Are you excited to hear me talk about any of them? Because I could make dedicated reviews of any of them if you really want me to. Other than that, I do have a Discord server now, so if you want to chat more spoilery type stuff, go ahead and join my Discord. I also do a mini review of every book I read over on Instagram, so both of those links are in the description down below, so check that out. And other than that, if you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more bookish stuff like this from me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye!